First of all, my name is Dash Gupta. I'm Chief Executive for Marshall Motor Holdings PLC. It's a role that I've been in since 2008, so just clicking into year 12. In terms of Marshall, we are a company that's 110 years old this year in October, and we've been one of the sort of leading consolidators within the sector within the franchise retail space. In terms of the UK automotive industry, from a retail perspective, there are around 4,500 retailers that operate here. It's been an industry that's been very much consolidating, and from a group perspective, we have 120 dealerships and operations principally around the franchise sector. So 106 of those 120 are actually franchise specific. We have 19 car brands. There are around 36 that operate here, but significantly our 19 cover about 82% of the market. So we've got all of the right brands. So we're big with a number of these key OEMs, so very much in the premium segment. So Audi, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Jaguar, Land Rover, and we operate somewhere between 5 and 10% for those brands. But we're also big with a number of other brands such as Skoda, Volvo. We're their biggest partners in the UK as well. So I won't go through all of them because there are quite a few to go through, but just gives you a little bit of an overview into our business. So the vision for the group is very simply to be the UK's premier automotive retail group. And what does that mean? Well, for me, premier means the best, very simply. We don't necessarily want the biggest. For me, we just want to really focus on the 5 key KPIs. So first of all, it's about delivering class-leading returns for our shareholders. And over the last 12 years, we've been very acquisitive. I'll talk about that in a second. But we've been able to grow our revenues from 300 million to 2.3 billion in that time frame. We've done that through acquisition, clearly. And over that period, we've bought and sold 146 businesses. So our M&A track record is very strong, and we've been one of the sort of fastest growing retail groups in Europe, in fact. And I think so that's been around growing shareholder return, and our sort of operating profits from 08 to 2019 have grown by about 50 million pounds, so from the bottom to the top. So we've been, driving shareholder value there as well. Second thing we're focused on is around our people. We've been 9 years running ranked as a great place to work company in the UK, and 5 years running in the best companies to work for. And in fact, we're the #1 automotive employer to work for in their rankings. And actually, we have a very customer-focused culture with the organisation, which is ultimately driven by that great culture we have with our people. Clearly, we're focused on growth, as we've talked about in terms of the acquisitions, but we also have a very strong like-for-like track record as well. And if you look at our performance over many, many, many years, you'll see we've delivered like-for-like revenue growth. In fact, including in the last 3 years, which have been a bit more challenging for the UK market post-Brexit, we've delivered record results in 2017 and 2018, pretty much like for like, as we've been sort of consolidating a big acquisition in 2016. And the final thing we're very good at is technology. We have a leading industry technology, some systems that we've developed ourselves. We're really strong in terms of our online proposition, and we're #1 in the UK on social media across the sector as well. So in terms of future plans, we want to carry on growing the business and keep growing through acquisition, which is ultimately a great opportunity for us because we're operating in an environment that's very much consolidating. And given our balance sheet strength, we're in a really good position to take advantage of that as we're debt-free. I think we've got a number of key differentiators. I think, first of all, we've been around for a long time, so we've got a good reputation in the industry and with our customers. So we've been around since 1909. Not many companies get to 100 years old, clearly. We've got a really strong management team. So I've been here 12 years now. The executive committee, there are 6 of us there, part of our sort of wider 4,000 colleagues across the group. We've got 40 years of continuous service there. And they're sort of key differentiators, particularly in a retail environment that's quite unusual. I think we have an excellent culture. As I said earlier, we've been ranked in the best companies in the UK to work for now for 5 years running. We have a really strong M&A track record. Our balance sheet is in exceptionally fantastic position. So we've got over 200 million of net assets, underpinned by around about 125 million pounds worth of freehold assets. We cash generate around 40+ million pounds a year. Today we have in place a 120 million pound revolving credit facility that's clearly not being used because we're debt free, with around 6 million of cash on the balance sheet at the end of the first half. So there are a number of factors that we have that I think are very different to our business. But I think the other thing from my perspective is around the drive and ambition we have to want to continue to grow the business is very much embedded in the organisation.
So I'm Richard Blumberger, CFO of Marshall Motor Holdings plc. I joined the group from outside the industry. My background is services and facilities management. So whilst it's outside the industry, many characteristics of the services and facilities management industry are very similar, i.e. it's multi-site, low margin, which has very many similarities with the retail motor sector. One of the things that attracted me to the group was the financial strength of the group. And when I met Dash, I could see, and the board, I could see that they were serious about continuing the growth in a controlled and sustainable way. When you look at the group over the last 10 years, there's been an impressive track record of growth. From a financial perspective over the last 5 years, which is the only period I can talk about post the IPO, we've seen top line growth of over 20%. We've seen profit before tax growth of nearly 30%. Last year recording 25.7 million, a record for Marshall Motor Holdings. We've seen net assets increase to £200 million, and that's underpinned by freehold and long leasehold of £125 million. Last year we saw an 8.54 pence dividend payment to our shareholders, which was a record dividend. If I look at the segments that we operate in, it provides business resilience to the business. If I look last year, we had a record used car performance, while the new car market suffered and struggled slightly with supply issues because of WLTP, whereas this year we've just reported our half-year results. We've seen the new car market bounce back, whilst the used car margins came under pressure from residual value pressures. We have a strong focus on cash management and working capital management, and that at the half year we reported 10.8 million cash inflow, and that allows us to generate cash for future acquisitions and further opportunities. And of course we've got an RCF of £120 million that's secured until May 2021. The PCP over the recent years has grown and is now the preferred method of choice for our new car segment. And just to illustrate that, 80% of our new retail finance cases are via PCP. It's worth reminding ourselves that it's a regulated product, and we've put in place over years a regulated governance structure to ensure that we have visibility and control over the product. So, for example, we have an oversight committee that's attended by one of our non-exec directors to ensure that it's independent and ensures compliance. PCPs give benefits to the customer. It allows a customer to have access to a vehicle that they may not necessarily have had access to previously, and of course it comes with a manufacturer warranty, so effectively for one monthly fee it gives them a hassle-free motoring for, let's say, 3 years. And there's also benefits to Marshall. Most PCPs come with service plans, which is great for us, so we get the after-sales business for the new retail sale. It's an event-driven transaction, and what I mean by that is at the end of the 3 years something needs to happen. The customer needs to come back and they can either hand the vehicle back and walk away, they can pay the balloon payment to own the car outright, or what we typically see is they go again with another PCP. We then have a used vehicle, one owner, 3 years old with full service history, which is in the absolute sweet spot of used car market. And what we're also seeing is the used car PCP penetration is also increasing, and at the half year we saw 60% of our new used car finance cases being on PCP, which is nearly doubled in 4 years. And what we also see is with the PCPs on the used car segment, they typically come with service plans as well. So that's great for Marshalls and great for our after sales business.
I think we're really blessed. The timing in terms of what's going on in the marketplace really presents a lot of opportunities for us. We've been very busy on the acquisition front since 2008. As I said, one of the leading consolidators in the sector. I think it's fair to say that the market is consolidating. We've seen that with the sort of large-scale acquisitions that have been going on since, quite frankly, 2002. And I think that's very much accelerating. I mean, if you look back in 2002, there was only one 1 billion turnover group in the UK. Today there are over 16, so you can see that that's been going on. So we're ranked number 7, so we still have lots of opportunity to grow further with our key brand partners. And I think what you're seeing is a real sort of divergence in terms of performance. You're seeing the smaller groups coming under pressure because they're struggling to be able to compete with the big groups. And I think more and more consolidation is going to be fantastic for us in terms of opportunity. Given our strong balance sheet, our cash generation, our strong freehold property base, we believe we're really well placed to take advantage of that, supported by the great culture we've got in the business and the systems and the technology we've got. So I think the future is very bright for Marshall.